welcome back to another episode of Sober Living Inc. Today I'm filling in for Jessica Dean, and my name is Tabar Williams. I'm with Tabar Joint. I am the director of Sober Living Inc. And today, as I said, I'm filling in for Jessica Dean. And today we have Kelsey. She's 33. She's been in Sober Living for 60 days now. She came to us at a time when, she felt like that she needed our help, and she's been getting her life together. She has a job. She's been clean for 60 days or more, and now today she gets to tell her side of the story, and hopefully her story gets to help someone that's out there that needs their help, or needs her help, or needing some type of advice to get on the right path, and they just don't know where to go. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelsey and let her tell her story.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm a grateful recovering addict. I've been in sober living for almost 60 days. My addiction started when I was 13 years old. My father passed away of an overdose. At that time, I started running around with my cousins, drinking alcohol and smoking weed. I had to move in with my mother, who I hardly known, and she was married to my stepdad, who was also trying to be my dad, which I didn't like, of course. Mine has just passed away, and I didn't need another man stepping in and trying to be daddy. That's when I really started acting out and getting in the game. I started slinging dope out of hotels and apartments at the age of 14. A few years later, I got into a relationship. I had my first daughter at the age of 17. I left him, and I got pregnant with my youngest daughter when I was 23. That relationship was very, very abusive. At that time, I started using opiates and benzos. A few years down the road, I left him, and I got into my next relationship, and he passed away with his arms around me. And that's when I got really deeper and deeper in the dope game. That changed my life forever. My life will never be the same. At that time, I was on the road to killing myself. I didn't really want to live. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I started sleeping in the back of empty buildings or train boxes, just wherever I could. I sold my body for drugs. And a little while later, I lost my kids. And I ended up going to rehab. On my way to rehab in San Angelo, I jumped out of the car and almost killed myself then. At that time, they brought me back to the Dallas hospital and let me out. And right when I got out, I overdosed on benzos. Because once again, I did not want to live. I felt like I had no purpose, and I let everyone down. Nobody believed in me, not even myself. And so I started prostituting again and just doing really whatever I could to get my next high, so I didn't have to feel. Nobody wants to go through that pain, and if you don't know how to handle it properly, you just want to fill that void and fill that hole in your heart with anything that you can. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly.
Take your time.
I met what I would call my best friend when I was probably 26 years old. We started using heavily together. Started slinging. I was motel jumping from here to there. I was stealing from people. I was zip tying people and putting them in trunks just because they disrespected me. I was a very bad person, and I didn't realize how good of a heart that I really had. Then I decided that I wanted to get clean, and I was staying in a house where people used and dealt out of, and I felt like I could do it alone. So I stayed in the back room, and I was clean for a week until I finally relapsed. And I was talking to Jessica Dean, and for like a week, I would trick her and tell her, okay, I'm going to be there today, I'm going to be there today, I'm going to be there today, but I knew that I couldn't pass the drug test. So finally I realized that my life was unmanageable and I was powerless, and I checked into Red River here in Wichita Falls. I detoxed for 7 days. The taxi came and picked me up, and I immediately transitioned to sober living. After 2 weeks of being there, I relapsed and I drank alcohol. And right when I took that drink of alcohol, one of the supervisors, I guess you would call her, called me and said to come to the office right now to take a drug test. So I truly believe that that was God, because if I would have kept drinking and stayed there, then there's no telling what I would have done afterwards. So I came in, did the drug test. Of course I failed. And then I begged. I begged and I begged for, I was basically begging for my life, because I know that if I wasn't able to stay in sober living, I would have died. I would not be here today to tell you my story. And by the grace of God, they let me stay. I had to do a 1,000-word essay about accountability and why accountability was so important to me in my life and my recovery. And now I've been here for almost 60 days. And I just want to say that if you're out there still on the streets, you do have a purpose, and God has a plan for you. You're worthy, and just get help. Everyone needs help. The first step is the hardest. Once you get past that first step, you're good to go. I'm done.
Since you've been in sober living, do you take any classes that you recommend for?
I do. On Tuesdays, we go to Restoration. It's very powerful. We have speakers every night. We feed you. On Saturdays, we have Starfish. She's laughing at me. On Saturdays, we have Starfish. People get up and tell their stories about recovery and how God has came in their hearts and helped them. I go to Group 1 on Fridays at 10. It's AA. We do a big book study. The 12 steps I'm only on step 1, but the 12 steps, they really help you and they really guide you in the right direction.
So like when you get out of sober living, what is your plans?
Right now I'm trying to get into Vernon College to be an LVN. I want to get my own place and get my 2 daughters back.
So let's go back to sober living. Like, what is it like for you since you've been there? Like,
Oh man, since I've been there, it's really been a godsend. All the ladies are absolutely wonderful. Jessica Dean and Brandy, they're like family to you. They welcome you with open arms. They make it feel like home, like you belong there. God draws everybody there for a reason. And if you're there for a reason, and He feels you, He feels your heart and helps you reach out to others that are still out there to come in and get help. You feel like you're hopeless, but there's still hope out there.
if there was a little girl out there that was in your shoes, say 14, 15, maybe 20, what would you tell her today?
Today, I would tell her that I know it's scary. It's going to be one of the hardest things that you ever do in your life, but it will be worth it. Every hardship and trial that you go through will be worth it. I've never felt better. I feel whole now. I'm happy. I love myself. I love everyone around me. Before this, I was filled with hate, and I was very angry and bitter, and I didn't let anybody get close to me because I was scared of getting hurt, scared of getting let down. And with these people, they just love you. They just love you, and they make you believe that there is a way.
Very good. I guess that shall conclude us for your documentary, and I hope that you stay on your sobriety path, and that you continue to have all the faith that you have gotten, and continue to have confidence in yourself, and continue to believe that, all you gotta do is just take it one step at a time, and that, on the other side of that mountain is all the hope and the glory that you've been looking for.
Absolutely.
And God bless you, and I'm looking forward to sharing your story.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, welcome back to Sober Living, Inc. Today, my name is Tabar Williams, and I'm filling in for Jessica Dean. She's out today. And today we have Sara. She's 19. She's been with Sober Living for 30 days and been a year clean. And what we're going to do is we're going to let her tell her story. She's been with us again for 30 days. She's a house manager at one of the Sober Living Incs. For the ladies and stuff. And we're just going to allow her to tell her story, and hopefully it saves someone that's her age or someone that's a little younger that's going through the same stages that she's been through at this time and led to why she's here at Sober Living. So we're going to turn it over to Sara.
Okay, I'm just going to kind of start from the beginning of my drug use. I was 13 the first time I did meth. Prior to that, I started smoking weed. I was 11, 12 years old. Always with people older than me, usually older guys. And my mom was never in my life growing up. And I finally had reached out to her, and she had just kind of came into my life whenever I was about 13 years old. And I didn't know that she was a drug addict, and that's why she was never around. But she introduced me to meth. She was a heroin addict, and I dropped out of school. I stopped caring about any responsibility I had as a 13-year-old, and it just kept spiraling out of control. I started getting locked up. I was on juvenile probation, and it got really bad. My mom owed a lot of debt from selling heroin, and I was trafficked. I am a trafficking survivor, not a victim. She had me prostituting at as young as 14. I was always abused, and I went through rape and robbery and just all the things that come in hand with that. I saw, really bad things happen to people a lot younger than me. And it really kind of took a toll on any hope that I had of getting sober. I didn't even know if I was going to make it out alive. And I watched my mom shooting up heroin, and it kind of drove me into another direction because I didn't want to be sick. I didn't want to be anything. I just wanted to be numb. I got addicted. And, I really knew something wasn't right. My brother got murdered whenever I had just turned 18, and I had been running the streets. I was nowhere to be found. I didn't even know until 3 days later because I was in an abusive relationship. And the guy that I was with had me locked in the laundry room. He had my phone. I was getting beat up, and I was just trying to get high. And I didn't find out until 3 days later after he was already dead. I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't do anything. And my mom's already in the federal penitentiary at this time. And I just kind of felt like, I had no hope. I had nothing. And I was on the run. I was running. I jumped my bond. And, I went to jail. I was 99 pounds. I had a severe concussion. I was beat up from head to toe. The whole right side of my face was swelled up. I couldn't even see out of my eye. And I remember I was laying in the county and I was detoxing, and I was so sore. I couldn't get high. I was withdrawn. It was a really hard time in my life. I was 18 years old. and I was just reflecting back on everything that I'd been through, everything that I seen, and I just knew that I could help somebody else if I could just figure out how to help myself. So I, made a bond agreement to be PR bonded to another treatment facility, and I was there for 10 months. I got a really strong foundation with God and just my religion and finding a purpose in myself. I was finally learning to love me, be okay with me, be okay with, the life that I've lived, because there is no going back, so it was just a lot of accepting who I was and what I had done, and just not allowing guilt to overtake me and, steal my joy. And, I finally got to that point, and I knew I was ready to transition into something with more freedom and just really trying to get onto my feet. So that's whenever I came to Sober Living. They knew I had extensive clean time, and I was 2 weeks into the program, and they made me a house manager. So I currently help run a house with 14 women in it. I make sure they're going to their meetings, that they're staying clean, passing their drug test, handling probation fees. I'm who they call on whenever they need anything. And, it just feels really good to go from the person that nobody trusted, nobody believed had hope, nobody had any faith in, to being the one that people call on, people that are hurting. They know that I'm somebody they can reach out to that will get them help, that will point them in the right direction, that always has something good to say to them and just to pour into their life. And it's very often that people kind of doubt me because of my age, but I tell any young person, your age has nothing to do with what you can give to this world and your value and how much you can pour into other people and just the impact you can have on somebody else's life. And, just I had to find that confidence and just to know that what I'm doing is the next right thing and that's what people are looking at. And I'm so grateful for the life that I have today. Like, I have a wonderful relationship with my dad, all my other living siblings, with all the girls from Sober Living, different meetings, different churches. I'm just plugged in all over the city. I have all different kind of resources. But I'm very grateful to be here today after everything that I've been through and just walked through, and just don't give up.
What would you tell another young girl that's out there that's, somewhat going through the same similar situations as you? Like, how would you tell them to get through it, to find themselves, to find help?
Right. There's always hope, and the best advice that I would give is you have to take that step of faith of the unknown, of not knowing what's coming next, of leaving that boyfriend, of moving out of that house, of trying to get clean or going to rehab or getting into a detox program or plugging in somewhere in some way, for me, it was a lot of fear of the unknown and of not having any idea what I'm doing. So just really reaching out to somebody would be the first step. It doesn't matter if it's somebody else on drugs or not. They can know somebody that can help you, have different resources. But whenever you really find somebody that wants to help other people, that's where you need to stay, and you can't be afraid of what's coming next because it's only going to get better. It can't get any worse from whatever situation that you're in or whatever you're going through. It can only go up from there. So just allowing that fear to be removed out of the equation and just really having confidence in who you are and where you're trying to get. You need to set goals for yourself and, just vision, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? What can you do to help your family? And being a woman, it's very important that you realize the impact that we have on other people. It takes a very strong woman to be confident in what she's doing and who she is. And if you don't have that yet, there's different ways to find it than in men or in drugs or validation from strangers that you don't even know, or from prostitution, OnlyFans, whatever you're doing, that's not where your validation comes from, and that's not where who you are comes from. It comes from who God made you to be, and it comes from learning yourself and finding those healthy boundaries, those healthy people that you can surround yourself with.
And lastly, I know I didn't remember hearing you say anything about it. Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I was in juvenile detention. I had to do 11 months before I could get off of juvenile probation because I was about 2 weeks shy from my 18th birthday whenever I'd have time served. I dropped out of school in the 8th grade. Officially, I never went back until I had went to jail. And I was 17. And I did a self-paced program online from juvenile detention, and I did 4 years of school in 11 months. I had the drive. It was very possible. It was, it's something that you have to want. And I strongly encourage everybody to get an education because it has a big impact. It plays a big toll on the rest of your life and where you're going with yourself, and for you to pursue different things. If it's too late for a high school diploma, you can always do a GED class, and there's always a way. When there's a will, there's a way.
What is your plans after your recovery in sober living?
I am not 100% sure what it looks like, but I know that I want to help other women, other people. So definitely just being self-sufficient and supporting myself, and showing people like I don't need a man, I don't need anything but my support system from recovery, people from meetings, from church, sober living, that I can have a support system without having a man, without having sex, without having to think that I have to rely on anybody else, and use that to help other people and other women in recovery. Honestly, I kind of plan on staying plugged in with sober living in some way and just really pouring into other people that come into this program and just show them, that there is a different way to life.
So in other words, you see yourself expanding sober living?
Yes, and I want to go to school to be a social worker, and that is in the works right now, so I'm planning on going to college too, so.
When are you planning on starting college?
In the fall.
In the fall? That's very good. I think that you have a very bright future, and I pray you have all the blessings from sober living, from all your resources that that we want to try to keep you on your recovery, keep you sober, and helping others, and we look forward to seeing more of you helping others, documenting them, pushing them, and helping them get to their sobriety as you have reached yours. Thank you for being on Sober Living Inc., and we look forward to seeing more of you again. And thank you also for inviting us to your home at Sober Living and showing us around Sober Living home and what you do around there. So that's very good for us. And thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Sara, and I'm the house manager at the Women's Sober Living House. You come in, and here you have the common areas, the living room. These are some of our residents. And then if you follow me this way.
Hold on, let me get some.
Alright.
Over here we have our washer and dryer. It's a laundry room. And right here is our kitchen. This is where you can keep all your personal food, all the community food. And then you come over here, and this is our dining room. This is where we all eat. We all fellowship here. This is our board. This is where all the bunks are. Every resident is numbered, and these are their individual groups for the week. They have chores on here that we do every single week. We have bedrooms and a bathroom down this hallway. Here's our backyard. And we all come out here. This is where we sit anytime that we want to. This is kind of just a little storage area. We have a pool that's getting renovated right now. And then everything else back there is just storage. This is sober living.